Hello and welcome to Following on T20 World Cup Inquest. Another ridiculous game of T20 cricket, which we're going to be looking back on for the next half an hour or so. I'm Jon Norman, talkSPORT's cricket editor. Pleased to say that Steve Harmison is once again with me. Harmy, do England ever know when they've lost? Because it doesn't seem to be, and it certainly wasn't the case today.
No, it doesn't seem that way. They put themselves in a bit of a bad position when they do go into the into the nitty gritty, especially at the start of games. But no, I think England. It's hard to put your finger on it because I'm like, is it a good thing that you win close games, or is it a bad thing you put yourself in a position where the game gets close? Look, it's a great win. It's not. I don't think it's a confidence boosting win, but it's a feel great win because I think there are still question marks in areas which I don't think we've learnt from, and they will need addressing in the next 6 days, 7 days, going to Mumbai, because I don't think we get off the hook against India or West Indies or South Africa if we eventually get through. So it's a great feel-good win, but one, I still think it's not the perfect win where we have had a lot of these games so far in this tournament.
We're waiting for England to play, and even Harry Brook mentioned it in the post-match press conference, but we're still waiting for England to play the perfect game. But, you know, there is something about this team, you know, and credit to the selectors, because they've made some decisions which actually, you know, and you've questioned them, I've questioned them. Will Jacks, for instance. Will Jacks coming in has worked more often than I think anybody expected. Coming in at 7 has worked, doesn't it? I mean, he's once again scored some vital runs to go with the wickets he took when he was bowling. His 4th Player of the Match award for the World Cup so far. It's a selection that has paid off. Rayan Ahmed today, you know, Harry Brook talking about playing the conditions. They've made a call and it's worked. Harry Brook himself being promoted up to 3. That wasn't a Harry Brook decision. That was a Brendan McCullum decision. It's paid off. So credit where credit's due, I guess.
Absolutely. I've got it written down here in capital letters because we've been very critical of this regime, this group, over the course of, you know, the England winter and the sort of debacle of Australia. So you have to give Brendan McCullum a huge amount of credit. And that's something we're not very good at. We're very good at picking holes in what's gone wrong. But I think sometimes you have to give credit. And I think seeing his face at the end of the game there, Brendan McCullum, and a conversation with Rayan Ahmed, and with a big smile on his face, that's great. I mean, I'm always loath to have a go at Brendan McCullum because he's such a nice guy, and he's a free-spirited, you know, fun-loving guy who, I think, from a decision-making point of view, these things come simple to him. You know, Harry, why don't you go and face more balls? You go up the order. You know, we probably need an extra couple of overs of spin. You know, Rayan, you play, and Jamie Overton out of the side. There's a big call to come. But I think tonight, we should be giving a huge amount of credit to Brendan McCullum, because that Rayan Ahmed selection, I think, was a masterstroke. Because yes, I think I agree with you. Will Jacks did deserve player of the match. It is his 4th one. I think that's a record. But Rayan Ahmed's 6 off Glenn Phillips, that changed the context of this game. That changed the direction of this game, because England were out. England were out of it. I think at the start of that over, they were given something like 13%. By the end of it was like 50-50. And I think largely down to the fact that it was a gamble from Mitch Santner as well, to go with the off spinner, the right arm off spinner, against 2 right-handed batters. But Rayan Ahmed's 6, the first one, that for me changed the context of where this game was going. Then there was a 4, then there was another big boundary. So, you know, hats off, because Rayan Ahmed got a wicket with his first ball on his debut. It was a big call. So, you know, well done to Brendan, well done to Harry for going with it, and well done for everybody that came in, because they were under, you know, quite a bit of pressure when you elevate up top. Will Jacks coming in at number 7, which is not natural to him. He's played a lot of franchise cricket, a lot of white ball, T20 cricket, some IPL cricket at the top of the order, and only really recognises himself as a top of the order player. But in this competition, he's been brilliant at finishing games for England. I think he's got a role now. Like Harry at number 3, Jax has got a role for a long time in the future down at that number 7 in that finishing spot.
Well done. I've got a question for you. Shivam2612 says, will you play Rayan in Mumbai?
That's a great question. That is a great question. We've talked about selection, talked about the bravery. Do you know what? I'm sitting here thinking, I mentioned it in the last World Cup inquest, and I said, duck it. Have England got it in them to go Curran at 4, Rayan at 6, Overton back in the side, potentially needing, obviously England might need the extra steam option, because the Wankhede Stadium will have a little bit more true and bounce, a little bit more pace. Yes, there'll be still a bit of enough spin there. So England might want to keep that extra spin option in the game. Have they got it in them to leave Bethel out and move Curran to 4, who, again, Curran looked in decent order when he get 24 off 22. Is that a backward step? Is that a forward step? Is that a brave call? I'm not so sure. The one thing I will say is, if I was selecting a team going into the Wankhede, I think I would want Rayan Ahmed in my team, because he seems to be as good a player of spin that we've got in that sort of middle lower order. And I just wonder, could England be brave and go no Bethel? Because got to remember, when I said what I said about him coming out of the team for Duckett, I was on it's batter only. He's got a cut on one of his bowling fingers, so he's not bowling. He bowled in this game, he bowled 1 over for 13. You could see he wasn't right. So if Bethel's not bowling, do England make a change there? And would it be brave to make the change and go and Rayan Ahmed up to 6, Sam Curran to 4, Jamie Overton back in the side, and no Jacob Bethel? That would be a big, big call for England. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It'd be very interesting. Joss Buttler, Harry Brook, no surprise, has come out to defend Buttler again. I mean, it was poor, wasn't it? It wasn't a great shot, was it? It was always a shot that was only going to get him 1. Outside edge, Ferguson bowled a good line, a good length. It bounced, there was pace, it was uncomfortable. It was an area of the pitch that Butler's always struggled to touch. But to go with, the 2 runs he scored against Pakistan, and the 14 ball 7 against Sri Lanka, and I think Ali Martin from The Guardian posted something on the lines of he's hit 150 in 30 white ball games. Yeah, I mean, are you really going to change your opinion on Buttler? I've been asking you the same question after every innings, haven't I?
Yeah, I'm not going to change on Joss. I'm still going to stick with Joss. I'm so very good at looking at things in isolation alone. That for me was a decent bit of bowling from Matt Henry and Lockie Ferguson. Like Joff in England's first up, there was something there with a new ball, and yes, it was a nothing shot and it was a plane away from his body. But I think in isolation alone, in games like in a new ball situation, an opening batter can get out that way. I thought Matt Henry and Lockie Ferguson bowled a really good opening spell. But then when you add it to, like you've just said, I don't think Joss has hit a boundary in 5 T20 internationals. And that's not like Joss Buttler, but I'm still backing him. If he's got a score in him, well, fingers crossed. If he has got a score in him in this tournament, it's going to be a big score now, because the game situation now is semi-final or final. And again, I mean, I'm not gonna change my opinion. I still think he's class, and I still think there's a score in him, and hopefully it's a match-winning one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other option, isn't it? Bring Duckett in for Buttler, but I mean, that's just not going to happen, is it? So there's no point in us even talking about this, talking about that aspect of things. Let's talk a little bit about New Zealand before we go back to England. That decision, I think Mitchell Santner will look back at the decision to give Ish Sodhi a second over And then to bowl Glenn Phillips, the off spinner, to do right-handers, 2 set right-handers, rather than bring himself back on to bowl, because he ended up bowling the 19th over with the ball spinning away. You know, he'll look back at that and replay that in his mind, I imagine. But truth be told, we talk about Test cricket being a game where it can go one way and then the other. You know, at different times, you know, New Zealand were on top, 60 odd from the first. You know, they didn't lose a wicket in the power play. England really pulled it back well towards the back end of the innings, but that just made you think, well, hang on, all 7 wickets for New Zealand went the way of spin. We saw what happened when New Zealand played Sri Lanka the other day. So you're thinking 159 for 7 doesn't sound like a big score, and actually wasn't. But, you know, we knew that, well, we thought that spin was really going to play a huge part when England were batting, only for pace to strike early, 2 for 2 at one stage, England. And when Harry Brook was gone for 26, 50 for 3, England were 117 for 6. You know, at different stages in that match, New Zealand would have felt that they had the game in their hand. But saying all of that, the decisions from a captaincy perspective from Mitchell Santner, you'd think, he'll look back and think, yeah, I got that one wrong.
Yeah, I think both will, to be honest, John. I think both captains. I think I quite enjoyed today's game more than I've enjoyed.
Yeah, I agree.
Quite a few games from a quality point of view. But I don't think either captain will look back fondly on this game. I don't think Harry had one of his best games in decision-making with captaincy. I thought, you know, the decision when Curran came on, I thought the decision when Bethel came on, and even Joff third over, I think probably should have given him it, but it was, look, these little things are ifs and buts moments. You're right, and like I highlighted earlier, that 1 over and the way Rian went, I think it was the Ish Sodhi. For me, watching the game and seeing it map out, look, Mitch Santner and even Harry, not so much Harry, but Mitch Santner's got a hell of a lot more captaincy experience than me in them situations. But I was just wondering that the Phillips over was the one that cost him the game. I think Phillips should have bowled the over before that extra one from Mitch that Mitch Sodhi bowled. And then Santner bowled the over that Phillips went for 22. And then you go longer side, 2 fast bowlers, and go into the pitch with 4 men on the leg side and say, right, hit me for 6 over there. And I think that would have been a better plan than bowling your wrist spin bowler, then your off spin bowler at 2 right-handers who were very, very good at belting spin. You know, Rian Ahmed is very, very good at belting the spinner. I'm not sure he would have been good enough. He would have been as good hitting Lockie Ferguson from a roundabout sort of logo on the shirt to grill area on the leg side and get it to the longer boundary for 6. So I think I'd have gone that way with Henry and Ferguson, with them overs up my sleeve against a Rian Ahmed, rather than going with a spin bowler which he can pick, and then the off spinner which was obviously comfortable into going with the spin. So I think from a Santner point of view, I don't think that was great decisions. And I'm not going to sort of say he sort of lost the game for his team, because I don't think Harry had a great day with the captaincy decisions either when it come to bowling changes.
How do you assess how Tom Banton's gone in this T20 World Cup?
I think he's gone quite well. And why I say he's gone quite well, because I think he's put a few fires out. I think he's had to go in along with, and this is the thing where, have you got it in it to leave Bethel out? Because you could argue, have you got it in you to leave Banton out? I think it's between the two. I think Banton's gone better than Bethel. I think Banton looks for me as though he's going to get me more runs than Bethel. And you've got a decision to make, because I think you probably need an extra seam option going into the Wankhede, but you have to keep Rian in the team. So I think Banton's gone in at difficult times. He's been 4 for the majority of the tournament. The last couple of games he's gone down to 5, which I think is probably in this team better for him. But I think he's gone okay. Not set the world alight. I thought it was a brilliant innings, this one, because England lost two at the top. Then they got a partnership going. Then two new batters at the crease, and I thought Curran and Banton did what Brook and Bethel should have done for that little bit longer, which was stretch the game out, take it deep, and put New Zealand under pressure, and ask the captain to make some difficult choices when it comes to his bowlers. So I thought Banton and Curran, rebuilt that phase of play to give Jackson, Ray and Ahmed an outside sniff of having one big over to win a game. So I'm happy with where Banton has been. He hasn't set the world alight, but I think he's gone okay.
We're in a ridiculous situation now where with the semi-finals on Wednesday and Thursday, we still don't actually know where the first semi-final is going to... We don't know what country it's going to be in. I mean, Pakistan are going to have to win so comfortably against Sri Lanka to make it through to that game. But it looks like it's going to be India next, doesn't it? You'd fancy India against West Indies. I know West Indies could win, but having seen both teams, would you concur? Do you think it's looking like an England-India semi-final on Thursday?
Yeah, up until the last India game, I was probably thinking, West Indies might have an outside chance, but I think the ability to score 250 plus, both teams have that. I just think, on the who is going to do it more often, I would have said India. Not score 250 plus, but a big 200 plus score. So, but you never know. I mean, West Indies win the toss and they bat first, and they go and put a big 200 plus total on the board, like they can do with complete power, then pressure would be on India. India going to chase 190, 195, 200 to go and stay in their own tournament. And I say that facetiously. I mean, it has been India's tournament. So for them to be still having the destiny of where the next semi-final, now they won't have to wait. They'll know, won't they, where their semi-final will be. But I mean, I can't see India losing against the West Indies. I think everything stars will have to align. India play poorly, West Indies play well, and maximise the coin toss for the West Indies to win, but never write the West Indies off. And if they go and get a big score on the board, I mean, that will be pressure on, because that effectively is a quarter-final, isn't it? The West Indies-India is a quarter-final to see who plays England in the semi-final. And as for Pakistan, I think they've got to win by 65 runs, or within reason, whatever Sri Lanka get, Pakistan are going to knock it off in 13 overs. So I think that's a tall order for Pakistan, especially the way they've been playing. And I can see both semi-finals being in India.
Yep, it's looking likely, isn't it? South Africa versus New Zealand. South Africa have already beaten New Zealand once, and they did so quite comfortably. And India against England, we'll find out. But in terms of India, I know that they did have that win, which they needed against Zimbabwe. But I mean, we know the threat that they're going to pose. But there's one thing. Beating teams on these smaller grounds, going and doing it on Indian soil at the bigger grounds against the Indian team, that's going to be something else. There is something else I wanted to talk to you about. We haven't been it's not like England have destroyed everyone, and they've been, the 2019 vintage, but they've closed out close games. They've come from behind to win matches. They've gone unbeaten in the Super 8 stage. They got through the group stages. Can I just point you to something, Harmy? Preparation. Preparation. It's amazing what can happen, isn't it, when you prepare properly? And they did prepare properly, because they had 6 white ball games in the country where they played a fair amount of the T20 World Cup against quality opposition. They got themselves game ready, match ready. They got in tune with the conditions of the pitches. They got in tune with their teammates. They got there early. There's a lesson to learn there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's not rocket science, is it? It's not rocket science. I'm going to get myself in trouble with ECB again, and a few fellow former former teammates and friends. Preparation is everything. And like you said there, winning close games because you're used to the surface, used to I think the environment, used to, getting in a position to get over the line in close games is such a habit that, especially when you aren't playing well. And I think you've got to give credit to the management team for that. I want to give Brendan McCullum a huge amount of credit for that because, yes, the preparation, you can say what you want about it, but winning close games and making big calls, that takes some guts and balls from where they've been this winter. So fair play, good on them. They're winning close games and they've not been at their best. That for me is a great sign going into the semi-final.
Who is more likely to make the final then, New Zealand or England?
Oh, I think England now. I can't see that New Zealand side beating South Africa. I really can't. Do I believe England can beat India? That's a 50-50. We'll beat the West Indies. I'm not sure about India. I'm not sure the mistakes we've made, I think we can make and win against the West Indies. If we make them little mistakes again, being 2 down in the power play or early in the power play, then we're not beating India. But New Zealand aren't beating South Africa either, so I can see South Africa-India final.
Brook at 3 just works, doesn't it? That should just not change for the next 5 years. Yeah.
Responsibility. Best player bats at number 3 in most formats of the game. Not so much in England. I get the understanding of route at 3 in Test matches, but for me, no. Brook at 3. Take some responsibility. You're our best player of all round the ground, and you're a captain, biggest talent, hopefully our next best superstar. So go out there and face as many balls as we can, hopefully off the back of a good start, because when the field's up, you can hit it over the top, you can hit it through the fields, and when the field's back, you can hit it over the top of them. Face as many balls as you can, Harry Brook, and you'll win more games than we'll lose if he comes off. So yes, for me, Brook is definitely a 3 for a long time in the future, hopefully.
Brilliant stuff. Harmy, have a great weekend. We will reconvene next week following the semi-final. England against who knows, but probably India. We'll be broadcasting, streaming across talkSPORT 2, as well as the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, and this will also be available on the following on feed. But for now, thanks for joining us here on T20 World Cup Inquest.
Ultimate Sports Radio.
What a moment!
This is talkSPORT 2.